What is up?
Hello, how are you?
Splendid.
Give me a moment.
All right.
Okay. How are you feeling today? You're all right?
All right.
Okay. Let me just adjust, okay. You were not really expecting today to happen? Or?
No, JM was asking, so I just wasn't sure if I misunderstood something.
Okay, but you're definitely ready for today, right?
I'm always ready. I stay ready.
Okay. All right. Are you going to take your hood off? Or are you going to present that way? Or
Say what?
are you going to present with the hood on?
I'm gonna go off camera. I'm gonna let you present. I'm gonna share screen.
You don't want to just show a few minutes?
I'm gonna go off camera. I'm gonna let you talk, and then I'll jump in and I'll share my charts. I'm not feeling all that great.
Oh, bless. Okay, then. No worries. You can turn off the camera then.
One sec. We're broadcasting now. And let me share this on live. Oh, man.
Happy Labor Day, by the way.
Y'all celebrate Labor Day over there?
We don't. No, it's a working day for everyone. So, yeah. We have bank holiday versions though. Okay, we're live.
Almost.
Let me see what's going on. Just trying to update. I don't see my I don't see the tag yet, but I'm sure it'll be coming up any moment.
All right, check to see if it's live now.
Okay. I'm refreshing and nothing so far, just waiting. I can see it says custom live streaming, so that's definitely correct. It'll take a few moments, I guess. Checking.
All right, you're live.
Perfect.
I'll jump on and do the technical analysis part, but go ahead and break down the fundamental stuff.
No problem. Hi guys, Crypto Azzy, Aking Risen. Hope you guys are well. Hope you had a splendid weekend. So let's get right into it. We've had some, interesting news come out over the last few days. But remember, over the last few weeks, I've been mentioning this several times, one of the indicators to watch out for, and that's the number of filings being made, blockchain filings. So I'll start with this particular story, which is interesting, and it adds to the story that I mentioned about Bank of America's as well, when they filed something like over 50 blockchain patents. So Alibaba, a Chinese internet giant, and IBM, an American tech company as well, they have been listed. There's a new list that came out, published by the IPR, which is a media outlet specializing in intellectual property. So they came out on the top of that list. And this was last Friday, I believe, that was published. So this is interesting because one of the key indicators, as I mentioned, with blockchain patents, is being made not only by big companies in the financial world, but different industries as well, different organizations. But what was interesting about this is that it also took data from China, EU, America, Japan, South Korea, and it did get the data from the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO for short, or WIPO. And so let me see, Alibaba had something like 90 blockchain related patents. IBM had something like 89, literally one away. In third place was MasterCard, and Bank of America also came right underneath it as well, 53. And also, surprisingly, the Chinese central bank, they've listed something like 54 patent applications as well, and that's specifically to do with the central bank digital currency with their project. And it's actually one of the few central banks at the moment in the world that have moved into the blockchain industry. So this was reported, this isn't new, this was back in June, where they filed something like 40 over the last 12 months. And it basically, they're trying to put this major effort in now to create a digital currency that does allow it to take advantages of the technology, but also to work in a harmony with the country's existing monetary system as well. So, you know, what's funny about this as well is that we have been seeing the Chinese government crack down on the crypto side, but on the blockchain side, they've been running away with this, taking initiative with it. So this definitely helps with efficiencies, and also for them to consolidate their control over their systems. So this is extremely important. It does give us an indication of how seriously they take this technology. Same goes for other countries. Just to give you an idea, with the WIPO data, and the Chinese are leading the way in terms of filings for blockchain technology, patent filings. Something like 225 was listed. Launched in 2017. It was registered, and in America it was 91. In Australia it was 13. And basically this is they're taking a strong position in this technology and being one of the forerunners. However, this is a bit contradictory. We're also seeing, like, with Alibaba's, funnily enough, the founder, Jack Ma, also has a split position as well. So he endorses the blockchain technology, but he's still a bit skeptical in regards to cryptocurrencies. He feels that there's a lot more work that needs to be done, and that will, in my opinion, will come with time. But that is interesting to see. They're still moving ahead. They're still putting these filings in place in order to position themselves ahead. Now, let me break down with IBM though. What's quite significant is that they've been involved. They've been expanding their involvement with blockchain across different fields, different areas. Just recently, they signed a $740 million deal with the Australian government to use blockchain and other technologies to improve their data security, their automation, also defense and home affairs, and working with other federal departments to collaborate and increase efficiencies as well. So that's key. That's really important to notice. That's one of the trends I was speaking about before. And then also financial and technological businesses as well in China and US are also leading the drive as well to develop these applications. So, you know, and another, there are other companies, major companies that are also filing blockchain patents. And some of them you may have heard the household names like Sony, Google, Intel, Visa, Accenture. Some of them you may not have heard, like Tencent, Ping An Insurance, and China's State Grid Corporation. And so here's the interesting part of it. They are developing these technologies. It's not just the filing, but they are putting money behind it. They are putting manpower behind it. And they are moving it to real world production, real world use case. So this is, you know, not alarm bells, like a reminder, what can I say, like alerts should be going off in your head right about now, because with these big companies, it's not just one or two, but it's several, and it's across different countries, different industries, different stakeholders. They're making the move now. Well, there have been for a number of years, but it is being reported now, and we are seeing a steady stream of these developments coming into the space. Again, what does that entail? That, you know, over the long term, what we're seeing is that this space is the foundation, the infrastructure that we keep talking nonstop about, sounding like a record, a broken record. It's happening. You're seeing not just clues before anything develops in the future. You're seeing that they're literally, you know, saying they're literally showing you without speaking, without telling. They're doing with their actions. They're telling you this is what you should be taking a closer look and taking action now. So very interesting in regards to that. With Alibaba, they're launching a payments corridor. They did actually launch a payments corridor based on a distributed network. So that allows the settlement of financial transactions with residents living in Hong Kong and Philippines, as an example. And Tencent, they piloted an application with WeChat. It's a massive messaging service like, you know, WhatsApp, in China, and that used blockchain to speed up the process of paying corporate employees' expenses. So, you know, they're trying out these different use cases, and it's going so well that they're putting in more filings, blockchain filings, in order to really take a hold of the technology we're seeing and applying it to different problems. And it's really, for me, I mean, you guys know where I stand. I'm long-term bullish in the space, but this really, really does tell me and show me, and hopefully show you guys as well, that we're seeing a digitization of our society, of our, you know, our very lives, our lifestyle, you know, where we are. Like, it has political, social, economical implications. When we're seeing other countries, or even our countries, develop systems and initiatives to start seeing how this can work for them, and applying it and adopting to their own problems and their own issues and challenges, then this is literally giving us another clue as to where we're going. So very interesting developments. What are your thoughts, Yusuf?
I'm just listening to you right now. I'm pulling up these charts so I could get people a perspective from the technical perspective. So
No problem.
The floor is all yours.
No problem. So so that's the first part. Now, the second, I know you guys may have read reports, or you may have mentioned me say, one of the trends that we're seeing as well is that people have started, there's been an increase in job applications, job postings and hirings from all sorts of industries, not necessarily the financial or technical, but we're seeing people taking up these posts, blockchain related posts, but we are seeing a new economy emerge. We're seeing new movements, new developments in the labor market related with this, and the ripple effects that it has. So what was interesting, in while we're experiencing the bear market right now, and we're worried about the price fluctuations and so on, what's been happening since 2017 on the Asian side is that cryptocurrency and blockchain jobs have jumped something like 50% since last year. And these are specifically blockchain related hirings in the Asian markets, and it's a massive jump, 50%. And you know, what's interesting with this as well is it is another indicator, another trend we're seeing, and it's both startups and established companies that have been around for a while. They are putting and dedicating, allocating a certain percentage of their budget, certain percentage of their manpower to building out that focus on the technology, and seeing how they, you know, the direction of their companies, or, you know, their organizations, it will be impacted by this technology. So they're taking a proactive approach to this. And so they're looking specifically for developers with something called Python language skills. That's the highest sought after skills. There's also other particular approaches they're taking, but those are the ones in demand. And also they're less interested, this came as a surprise to me, but they're less interested in recruiting individuals already working in the industry. They prefer talent, they prefer experiences from other industries instead, because they said within the crypto space, because it's so new, that the majority of people there, they're also learning the technology, and that they're very inexperienced in scaling up that, you know, companies and taking it. So they're focusing. They said there's only a few people that really understand the core components, so the language required to build these, the skills required to build the technology. So this is something that is being harnessed. I mean, the more people learn the technology, the more courses being offered, the more this is incorporated into society, and there's moves to encourage people to take up programming, learning programming languages related to blockchain space, and really driving this technology forward. I believe this is something that will continue to rise over time, and it certainly will strengthen their technology, because with people from diversified backgrounds coming in with other experiences with developer languages, it certainly will enrich the space, and we'll be able to find better solutions as well to the current problems we're facing within the blockchain space. So again, this technology is so new, is so it's volatile, but there's so much scope, there's so much room to grow and develop. It's being tackled on a global level. That's what we have to understand. It's not local, and that's why people are getting excited about this technology. Never mind the crypto aspect, which is exciting enough as it is. The technology behind it on all levels or all aspects of our lives, it's going to be changed forever. There's no turning back. That's it. This the way we're seeing that governments and organizations and different stakeholders have begun to accept this new reality, this shift, this paradigm shift, is where they're turning their attention, where they're turning their money, their time, their skills, and they're investing even more. We're not even, despite the bear market, what we're actually seeing is more developments occurring, not less. If it was reflective of the market's performance, obviously we wouldn't be seeing all this bullish news. So clearly, we're seeing the groundwork, the framework being built out, just like a house, being built on an empty land, just like bridges being built, roads being built, the infrastructure for this space in different shapes and sizes, in different ways, is being built in order to help foster and increase and drive adoption in this space. That's a really, really key observation that I've made and other people have made. So again, this is definitely why we stress education is important in this space, and not just for financial gain, because it will, if it hasn't already, it will end up affecting all aspects of your life, politically, economically, socially. So again, this is another development that's occurring in the space. And, what's been interesting is, I don't know how many of you guys know about a popular freelancing platform called Upwork. And if you look up and search the item for blockchain in the field, and particular postings to do with blockchain skills as a requirement, it's gone up by more than 6,000% since the first quarter of last year. 6,000, and that's only going to get bigger. It's only going to increase because the reality on the ground is we don't have enough experienced people that are aware of how to build the core programming, the languages, the scripts needed, in the coding needed, required to help build and facilitate the technology. So, the more people come into this space, the better it is for all of us. And they're not necessarily money motivated either. You have to remember this space was initially built as a backlash to the traditional systems, and this is an alternative to that. So I do believe from all the evidence that we're seeing that developers, programmers will continue to gain even more power and influence over time, because they are literally writing the future for this space. So in terms of bringing solutions forward, it will have to be in code, in programming. If there's any issues, real world issues that we need to find solutions to, it will be done via the blockchain, via to some extent with cryptocurrencies as well. But cryptocurrencies is only one branch of it. There's so many aspects to blockchain technology, to DLT, that it's mind-boggling, really, because you're using the central tenet of it, the central advantage of decentralization and distributed networks is as a major core component solution to the issues that we face worldwide. So anything that reduces, that increases transparency, that reduces costs, that allows people to gain more power, more like they could use their voice on a global level, not just on a local level, that increases accountability, all of the issues that you can think of, if it could be digitized, and then we find a digital solution to that, and have global solutions to global problems, this is a great thing. So, you know, that's with the job aspect, that's really important to note as well. This is helping to build, to further the technology. We're seeing this in real time. So imagine taking yourself back to when Microsoft and IBM, Apple were just getting started, and you know, we can see with hindsight how much of an impact they've had on our lives. And then that also gave rise to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and so on. But if you take a look at the early pioneers in technology, you have to see like there were signs, there were clues. And so with this, it's certainly something interesting that we're seeing, that technology with programmers, developers. It's interesting to see how massive this could be, and that we're at the forefront of it. This hasn't even gone to mainstream adoption yet. So we are definitely in a blessed position, in a privileged position, and with that information and knowledge and hindsight, you know, some people see it as a form of hindsight. What we do with this power, what we do with this knowledge is really, really important, because it's not just our future that depends on it, it's also our children's future, our family's future. And we've never had a time, you have to look at where we are right now in human history. We are literally at the cutting edge, at the forefront of it. And so it does come with a responsibility. However, with greatness comes a responsibility. So, you know, use this to your advantage, use this to empower you. And certainly if you're looking, guys, if any of you are looking to change career and go into the blockchain space, you certainly, you're in a great space, in a great time. So, you know, and I'm sure the community as well, the developer community, they're extremely helpful as well. So, you know, it's definitely what I was going to say. This also relates to the trend, as I mentioned before, in the financial world in particular, because we keep talking about the institutional investors, waiting for them to come en masse, and, you know, custodial solutions and regulatory clarity. The financial world in particular, they're the ones making major moves at the moment. And I'm talking about management level employees from major banks beginning to jump ship and going into either crypto related companies and investment funds, or they're starting their very own, or, you know, opening up trading desks in anticipation of what's about to happen. That's another clue. That's another indication. You don't just leave your cushy job, your career that you've been for a number of years and dedicated, you know, you've either taken degrees or you know, you've built your way up and so on, several promotions. You don't just make that decision lightly. So the fact that this is happening, or, you know, across several major financial companies, as well as other industries, is another indication. It's a trend that we're seeing beginning to form as well. So that's definitely great news as far as I'm concerned. The only I guess from to play devil's advocate as well, however, with the financial world, we've seen how they've messed up the banking system. We've seen how greedy they can be. We've seen how there's been little accountability for their actions. So another debate or concern has been, well, if they bring their bad habits and bad practices into this space, this brand new space that's supposed to be helping bring back power to the people, and democratize and decentralize all aspects of our lives, then, you know, how will this play out? Will this be even worse, or will there be limits? Can we place restrictions or limits somehow? Can there be checks and balances in blockchain technology to minimize fraud, minimize greed, minimize certain human behaviors that really does you know, encourage bad things to happen? So one aspect with blockchain technology is the transparency, and also with the fact it's just the power is distributed, and you have to have consensus as well. So I think overall the pros do outweigh the cons, and with so many eyeballs, so many now we're taking it on a global level, so many people watching, there's more scrutiny, that people, there's more accountability, there's more transparency. I feel like that's more powerful than the system, the traditional system where everything is centralized or closed system, private systems. And so even with the checks and balances that the governments, the laws and regulations in place, I feel like that still doesn't compare to what blockchain technology can bring, the huge advantages it can bring, and the power, the shift of power it can help facilitate as well with the people. So again, very excuse me, very promising development in that aspect. And that's also natural as well. That's whenever there's any change in culture, in society, technology, or politics, we're seeing over the century, over the decades, anytime technology comes in, it always disrupts, you know, the current, the time at that time, the thinking, the current thinking that certain things cannot be done. Or cannot be achieved. Something that was once thought impossible is now our reality. So we have to appreciate how things are, like, literally technology compresses time, and it seems to speed up time and efficiencies and so on. So this is again this really does help to the overall goals and objectives that we have individually, collectively, or all of the pressing chronic issues that we face. This really does tick the boxes on a number of areas. So very exciting to watch and be a part of. So just be, you know, as educated as possible within this space, within this time. And so that's what was I going to say, with the hirings as well. And also with Japan, it has introduced its first blockchain voting system. So some people have actually called it Satoshi Nakamoto, you know, on a play on Satoshi Nakamoto's name, the founder of Bitcoin. So a Japanese city by the name of Tsukuba, it's a city, it's a brilliant city. Google it when you have time. It's a Japanese city that's very technologically advanced, and it has been since the 60s. It's known for its scientific development and a technology university as well, and wide adoption of different technologies as well. And so it began to use blockchain for a voting system to help residents vote for their social development programs. And they're trialing it out. And it's been relatively successful, largely successful. There were some hiccups, which I'll explain in a moment. But just to give you an idea of how city is, Intel Intel is inside, if you remember Intel computers, Intel chips, their headquarters are actually there in the city. So it definitely is driving in terms of technology, and it is working on a selection of proposals at the moment on local social projects, and it's northeast of Tokyo. It's not that far. So the fact they're the first in the world to do this, and with Japan in particular, this is really important, and I'll break down how the system works. So they get like a personal identification number. It's like a social security identifier, 12-digit code, and it basically is there to verify then their details, their credentials, and then it's on the blockchain, and it allows them to do that. So the details cannot be falsified. It can be verified immediately on the blockchain, and no one that shouldn't have access to it has access to it. So because of the fact that Bitcoin is immutable, which means it can't, the blockchain is immutable, which means it can't be changed or tampered with, they're using that for their voting system. And that has implications not for just Japan, but worldwide. There's other governments watching this as we speak, and they're trialing their own versions in a different way. But they're the first one to try out specifically for these social development programs there. So it's as simple as put in they also receive a card for a card reader, and then they also have to put their password, another layer of security, and then they choose whatever program they want to vote on. And it's very simple. Apparently, it's they thought it'd be more complicated, but it was pretty easy. So any age group that were allowed to vote could easily use it. Very user friendly. However, they I don't know what it is with human beings and technology, but there were several hiccups, as you can imagine. Human error, such as forgetting their passwords. They weren't able to vote as a result, and forgetting their personal identification number, which is pretty typical. That, you know, there's never a perfect thing, is there? Like, there's always one or two people that will be forgetting things, or, you know, compromising their account or whatnot. So so yeah, it was successful, largely successful anyway. It proved that the system can work. There was also another concern that they weren't sure if their vote had been counted. But again, this is natural for any technology with the adoption and utilization of this in particular. But they are working on it. They're ironing out the issues, and also it's not blockchain that's the problem per se. The problems that they've experienced is more to do with the digital voting interface as well. And this is great in terms of preventing voter fraud and also efficiency problems as well. And voting is definitely an area where digital ledger technology, anything that's open, it is being seen as revolutionary because of the transparency it gives, the security it gives. And so it's wonderful to see that, you know, these governments are taking it seriously, because we're seeing with certain voter disenfranchisement, for example, with the African American community in America is well known, you know, with also the cost of obtaining certain paperwork, ID, from what I understand, is also prohibitive as well. So anything that can help take those problems away and encourage participation, decrease the cost for government and for voters alike, and have transparency as well. It's something that will definitely strengthen the democratic process. So it's definitely helpful to have countries taking the lead in this. Japan has always taken the lead in technology in different aspects of life, but it's nice that they're given power back to the citizens to decide where that money will be allocated, and so on, and digitalize it so everything is recorded and transparent and so on. So, you know, they're going to work out these administrative errors and find ways to counteract the small element of human error as well. Perhaps remind voters before they come to vote to remember. Literally, I don't know if they'll need to write it down or something, which is not the safest thing to do, but somehow remind themselves before they step out of their home to have that and verify that. So yeah, this is definitely interesting, and we saw what happened with the 2016 global election cycle as well. Concerns about modern voting systems as well. Some of them may have had errors or duplicate voting and other, but largely they are successful, and they have saved so much time and money. And is a benefit to the system, as I said, to voters and government. So this is definitely going to give us more efficiency and safety in vote casting, and certainly on a global scale, we should see more and more citizens taking back some level of control, because they're the ones holding, in a more efficient way, holding their government to account. So that's interesting. That's definitely helping to build a reputation of blockchain voting, not just in Japan but around the world. So yeah, that's very helpful. And I'll give you examples. With America, West Virginia is looking to use blockchain in their midterm November elections, and again, this is going to help blockchain in the mainstream as well, get further adoption, and also regions where there's electoral fraud. It does help to tackle that as well. It's not just West Virginia though; it's also Switzerland, a city called Zug. They also have got something like a ID system to vote via their smartphones on the blockchain as well. And with West Virginia in particular, I forgot to mention that they've been testing mobile voting with the blockchain for military service members overseas, using the state or federal ID over a smartphone app as well. And then with the Ukraine Central Election Commission, they did a trial vote on any blockchain as well in Kenya. And I can see how this is going to be extremely important in Africa. And we know there's corruption worldwide, but in Africa in particular, that's definitely going to help. And in Kenya in particular, that the Kenya's electoral body, they have plans to use blockchain technology for real-time ballot, just to make sure that the voting goes through and that it's transparent. And also, it's not just a voter fraud, but they're also trying to tackle voter intimidation as well. So this will help in that respect as well. And Russia, Moscow as well, they're doing a digital version of that. This sometimes is on a major political issues, but sometimes it could be as mundane as, you know, your local area with voting on certain issues like certain taxes or whatnot. But yeah, so in Russia they allow residents of high-rise blocks to electronically vote on issues, you know, whether to upgrade, you know, their buildings or hire a new management company and so on. So you can see how this can work on a local level, on a federal, state level, national level, for, you know, different projects, different importance. And yeah, it's extremely important either way. Again, it helps with building out the technology, and also it does provide real value to all aspects of our lives. So yeah, and another news that I saw was United Nations is inviting Earth Ledger to present its blockchain solution as well to climate change. Now, we know how we've been advised in the news and everywhere we go, the concerns that we have in regards to pollution, the use of fossil fuels and using our cars and using, it's a really difficult topic because we do need certain things to survive, to, ensure order, and business relies heavily on it. So what do you do? We try and offset the carbon usage as well, but we have now, if you've seen in the news, with the geopolitical tensions and issues, for example, Donald Trump pulling out of the Paris Accord on climate change, that has made Europe and a lot of other countries that did sign that very, very worried, because US is it's a massive contributor to emissions and causing the deterioration of the Earth's climate. And so this is incredibly important, because what Earth Ledger is looking to do is ensure that we use the blockchain to put all of our collective solutions that we have to tackle climate change in every way, small or large, to engage all different stakeholders like me, you, businesses, organizations, charities, you name it. As many stakeholders as possible to come up with different solutions, put it on the blockchain. We can vote on it if we like it. Also put incentives, be rewarded with certain tokens for doing things that are earth friendly, that are helping to reduce and mitigate the pollution levels, and anything that harms the planet, harms people, harms animals, anything that is bad for us. They are incentivizing certain things to be done. So we find solutions and we put it all on the blockchain, so we can all hold ourselves accountable to that. And I think it is going to be a massive game changer. And they're going to be speaking about their findings to the United Nations this Wednesday, so 2 days from now. So and what will come out from that will be interesting to see as well, because it will help to, I believe, change some of the some of the policies that have been written that do not go far enough, because scientists did say that they think about 3 degrees. 3 degrees in the rise of sea temperature is going to be the danger zone, and once we reach a tipping point, there'll be absolutely no turning back. The damages cannot be reversed. So we are running against time, and I feel like with what we're seeing with blockchain technology, marrying the advantages to that, applying it to something as significant as climate change, which affects us all worldwide, is a major development. And so it is a positive impact platform. It does give us ways to contribute to the restoration of our environment, bringing individuals, organizations, and nations together to research, vote, and solve global challenges. And it will be built around a system of consensus. So the fact that we're already connecting worldwide via the internet, and we've got social platforms that brings literally billions of voices together. There is no reason why we can't find real practical solutions to all of these major problems, and we have to do it literally for our global survival. It will have to come down, and I believe with technology it will play a major role with that. So it certainly will help, not just now but over the years to come. So that's me with the fundamental aspect of it, and it's all looking good long term. Yusuf, want to step in?
Sure. So let me take a quick look at the technical perspectives, and I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin, BTC USD, Bitcoin versus dollar. I'm going to take a look at Ripple, XRP. XRP USD versus the dollar. So I'm gonna show you guys that real quick. Give me just one moment.
Okay. So what are your thoughts so far?
On the market?
Yeah.
I still think the market is bearish, simply put. So we'll see how that evolves over the next couple of weeks. So this is what I see right here. And I'm actually doing a little bit of traveling. I'm in a hotel, so I hope my internet is strong. But let me see. Let me log out of this so I don't get no notifications popping up.
I'm gonna check the comments and see what they're saying.
All right, so here is Ripple. I know there are a lot of people that's really infatuated with Ripple on the, this is Ripple. The exchange I'm using is Bitfinex. This is the weekly chart. So basically with Ripple, I see it two ways. One, we have this bullish channel with these blue lines. We're going upwards. I see Ripple had a huge breakout of that channel in 2017, and we've seen the highs of Ripple of $3.30. Since then, Ripple came back down. We retested the downtrend, came back down, and now I see it's forming a potential bearish pennant. The thing with bearish pennants is that they're not really high probability patterns. However, this is when you are, this is a extension of our downtrend continuation rather. So you sold down, you bounced up, sold down, bounced up, sold down again, where you're making lower highs and higher lows. So I see Ripple as potentially going two ways. One way is bouncing up, retesting this downtrend and selling off, or just breaking out down from the bearish pennant. There's been a few bearish pennants that popped up in crypto where this is why they're just not very high probability patterns, where it'll do exactly as such. You'll just pop up and then sell right off. So that's what I'm playing for Ripple, is when we break the lower high continuation or succession of just going lower highs, or we break the lower, the higher lows or the lower highs. So whenever we break out of this pattern, I can see Ripple going as far as 45 cents, maybe even retesting this uptrend. That's a possibility, then fall back in. But I still see Ripple as being extremely bearish. It was actually one of the underperforming alts last night when the market actually discounted. So that's how I see Ripple. So my bias is still bearish. It could just break straight down and just sell off. I think we'll find some support around 13 cents where this whole party kind of started. But you have to respect the upside. The upside, we can go up as high as 20, 30, 35%. And I think if we retest this 45-cent area, I think that's immense pressure in that area. I think it'll continue to sell from there. So let's take a look at Bitcoin on the weekly. And my buddy Lamont showed us some volume confluence on Bitcoin. So I'm going to show you where I am on Bitcoin on a weekly chart. So I'm using the weekly chart to give you guys the large picture of where things are in the market. So here we are on the weekly chart. Today is Sunday. No, today's Monday. I'm sorry, today's Monday. So yesterday was a close of this week. This is where this week closed at $7,300. And Bitcoin has been fighting in this range of $7,300. The highs, it went like 74.30, 74.40. And we are right at the top of this descending triangle where we're making, and let me highlight this for you. Let me do this. There it is. We're making lower highs and we're making relatively the same level lows at the 6,000 mark. The exception would have been here, where it pumped up a little bit over the 6,000 and we bounced again in that same range right here. So this is a traditional bearish structure. What happens is that every time that the bulls get interested, they get weaker and weaker. So I could take this off. That's not really confluent. So the bulls got interested here at 6,000, pushed all the way up to about 11,000 and change, fell down, got interested again around 6,500, pushed all the way back up to 10,000, got weaker, fell all the way back down, pushed again all the way back up to 8,500, peak, fell back down, and now we pushed back up at 73, 7,400. And this is the key area of resistance, the key area test for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin was to break through here at the 75, 76, 7,700 range, it's possible it can go bullish, but that's a lower probability event than it going bearish, and here's why. So let's take a look at volume. So the volume on Bitcoin, even though the price on Bitcoin has been going higher, 1, 2, 3 of going higher, the volume has actually been getting lower. So that's one reason why that's called that bearish divergence, when the volume's going up, but the price is going up, but the volume is going down. It's called bearish divergence. Another reason is, obviously we're in the price structure for Bitcoin to ultimately come back down and sell off. And then we also have some divergences on the RSI as well. I'll pull up the daily chart. So a divergence on the RSI is where you have price obviously falling down, but you have the oscillator making higher highs. That's called that's just called bearish divergence as well. So you're oscillating a higher high, so your price is making lower lows. So right now our bias is still remaining towards the downside. That 500 range, we get a strong daily close above there. Because at the end of the day, indicators and oscillators, they help their rules, price rules the world. So performance time to these type of structures, the side as far as where Bitcoin price will ultimately go. But again, I can't stress enough, price is king, and price can break out towards the upside, and then I would have to go neutral. So what I'm looking for right here is a rejection of price in this area right here. That's what I'm looking for. And then when that rejects, I'm looking for a follow through sell back down. More put towards the apex, and then here, not just let it come down. So that's how I'm looking at Bitcoin right now, still being bearish. So anything above $8,000, $8,500, I'll be bullish, because at that point we would have covered, we would be above this line right here. So if we make a higher high, let me make sure I illustrate that. So right now we're making lower highs, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if we were to make a higher high, high, like price was to get up here, for instance, then you have to start to bullish outlook right here. That'd be above around $1. So then you have to start respecting bullish outlook. I don't know. I don't think we have enough meat on the bone left to make that big. A lot of bearish divergences up here, like in the 4-hour time frame. You look at the RSI meter, it's getting lower. The price is still getting higher. So we're seeing a lot of bearish divergences. So I'm not confident that we have enough strength to break this major critical resistance zone. I'm actually betting against that we don't, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with price, where it goes, and if from this area, then I think we're going to fall. And we've been buying for a while, to be honest. We've been buying we've been on this uptrend for how? Let's just take it from really the downtrend. Let me see where this uptrend started. uptrend really started around here. So we've been in this uptrend really right here to, yeah, so we've been in this uptrend for about 20, 21 days. So that's a long time to be in a healthy time, rather, for a good retracement to be in an uptrend, for a good pullback. So yeah, I want to see where this thing goes. And then on the very minor uptrend, we actually broke it right here. So we could just be retesting this uptrend area, where price is simply retesting it. As you can see, it broke down, pulled back in, and then it's going to sell back off. So we're waiting. What I'm waiting for is either a break above 73, 7400, like a strong break close. That'd be my first early warning system, and then that's for the bullish perspective. For the bearish perspective, I'm looking for a break of this trend line around $7,100, $7,150. That's what I'm looking for. So let me just take some of this stuff off so you guys can see it. So keep in mind, this was the minor uptrend. We broke down from here. We have bearish divergences. So by all means, we're getting weaker by measure. But if we was to somehow break above here, then I'm going neutral bullish. If we was to break down here, then I'm going long-term strong bearish, because there's so much bearish perspective, bearish technicals, bearish indication. So if we break this line right here, that's when I'm going long-term on a pretty strong bearish position. So yeah, not financial advice, do your own research, do your own due diligence, invest at your own risk. Don't invest at all, consult with a financial advisor. That's just how I see Bitcoin on the market right
now. Excellent. And finally, let me know, guys, if you've heard of a report that came out that, you know, we get all of these sort of forecasts and predictions from different people saying Bitcoin will go this and whatnot. But this one was produced by analyst, Satis analyst, and they predict that Bitcoin's going to go up to $144,000 by the year 2028. And I know you guys must have come across different reports with different figures. And if you look at this published report, crypto asset market coverage initiation valuation, it does break down its analysis. And so it says by next year, it may reach almost $33,000. And that over 3 years, it could jump to $72,000. And then over 5 years, it will be something like 96,000. And then by the year 2028, reach $143,900 to be precise. So they do expect Monero to be up as well, up by 38,000% over the next 10 years. And they also mentioned Dash as well. All these predictions, and we have to be very careful not to get too excited and put all our eggs in one basket. We should never have that approach. Not financial advice, but never have that approach of thinking that if you put more of your funds in, you know, it's a certain bet or a certain winner or whatnot. Regardless of how strong Bitcoin is, you should always practice mitigating and spreading your risk and diversifying your portfolio and making sure you practice correct asset allocation. So you have, if you're investing in cryptocurrencies, make sure you invest over different projects that have strong fundamentals. As you know, some projects over the course of the next few years within this bear market will be shaken out. as some of them will fail because they don't have enough real world use case. Their community may not be strong. The roadmap that they've stated, that they may not follow through. So any number of things can happen. We're seeing, you know, great developments, great you know, actions being taken in this space by different stakeholders, but still, again, we need to prepare and make sure we have all our bases covered, and that if something is affected, you know, if it goes down, if it fails completely, then we have other assets that we can be you know, at rest. We will have peace of mind knowing, regardless of what the world brings, regardless of how the markets react, that we have mitigated and reduced and spread our risk across different asset classes, and that we are taking this time to learn more and more about the technology in the meantime. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got value. Make sure you heart and like and share this as much as you can. So I appreciate it. Any final words, Yusuf? Any final words, Aking?
No, absolutely. Awesome job. To the next time, guys. Much love. Peace, everyone.
See you guys. Thank you for joining us.
We'll get within the weeks to come. So, guys.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Have a great week.